Welcome back, everybody, to the Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. I'm your host, Phil. Let's dive into the topics we are going to be looking at today. You know the deal. We're going to start it off with some hopium. Lots of people calling for government, specifically the U.S. government, sell their gold, buy Bitcoin. Oh, it sounds so great, right? And not only that, but the correlation, right? The correlation between gold at new all-time highs. Isn't Bitcoin going to follow? Isn't this already part of history, right? Isn't there historical precedent for this to happen? You know the deal, guys. I'm actually going to bring you signal. So it might be a little bit more underwhelming than you think, but at least you're not going to get wrecked, right? At least your expectations are going to be actually reasonable instead of pie in the sky. Who the hell knows what? Anyways, we're also going to take a look at some Fiat Shenanigans because those don't end. The signing devices, the hardware wallets, right? Are we gearing up for some more hardware wallet wars? Maybe we're going to take a look at that. Paper Bitcoin summer, guys. I know it's not summer anymore. We're almost winter. I don't know what to call it. So I got to come up with a better name than Paper Bitcoin summer, but that's what it is for now. And of course, right? The government loves Bitcoin. We are going to take a look at some stories that revolve around that. You know the deal. First, give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor. And we are going to be right back to dive into all of these stories. Here we go. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. All right, guys, here we go. Let's dive right into the hopium. This is it. So, Bitcoin Archive put out this post from Bitwise. Bitwise says that a 5% capital rotation from gold to Bitcoin could send Bitcoin 242K. So yesterday, we had the CEO of Bitfury. He's ready for $1 million to $10 million Bitcoin. Bitwise CEO, a little bit more reasonable. He's thinking just sell off a little bit of gold and we could see that 240K, right? We could see that. I don't know about the whole selling off Bitcoin, selling off gold to buy Bitcoin. I mean, the government can just confiscate Bitcoin. How would they sell gold? They could just keep the gold and accumulate Bitcoin. But it's a really nice feel-good story that doesn't make you think about the government appropriating Bitcoin from criminals. Right? It's not theft. Then they're criminals, right? They're criminals. Took away their Bitcoin. The government did the right thing. Okay, anyways. Moving on, guys. We know the story, right? We know the story. Gold hit a new all-time high in the last 48 hours. And of course, right, the cheerleaders are out in full force. The next thing that we're going to see is that Bitcoin is going to follow gold. Why? Because history. I don't know about that. So we're going to take a look at this article over here. So I've actually got obviously links to all of this stuff in the show notes. This is essentially a report that was done about the correlation, right, between gold and Bitcoin. Yeah, I know it's not so fun. Anyway, so here we go. Pre-pandemic, the correlation between gold and Bitcoin is weekly positive at 0.10. Post-pandemic, gold and Bitcoin show a near zero correlation, minus 0.01, indicating the relationship has weakened further. Okay. So the following can be said: in the pre-pandemic period, gold and Bitcoin exhibited little to no relationship in terms of causality or correlation, with the Granger casualty tests and correlation analysis showing minimal interaction. Post-pandemic, gold's relationship with Bitcoin remains weak overall, but the evidence shows hints of evolving dynamics. Oh, there we go. Evolving dynamics. Correlation remains near zero. The Granger Casualty and IRF suggests a slight increase in mutual influence, with Bitcoin exhibiting sharper responses to gold shocks and vice versa. Together, the econometric findings suggest a growing interconnectedness across assets in the post-pandemic period, driven by shared macroeconomic forces and evolving investor sentiment. So there is no 100% case or anything like that gold goes up, Bitcoin goes up. Okay, it's a feel good narrative. I feel good thinking it, right? I feel good thinking that, but the reality of the matter is that there is no actual real correlation there. Okay, between the two. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, but that's okay. That's okay. We've got some really positive comments here from David Marcus. That's right. David Marcus, right? He was the previous CEO of PayPal. He is the CEO of Lightspark, worked for Facebook, he was the head of the project, which was to be called Libra. Well, it actually was called Libra. It just never went anywhere when Facebook essentially tried to make their own little payments walled garden. They would have succeeded if it wasn't for those dastardly banks, right? The banks have stopped so many players from coming in. You know what? It's almost like they have a monopoly on this, and it's almost like they get to pick who gets to be part of the club and who doesn't. Anyways.
Amazing to
what does
see.
the strategic reserve do in your mind?
Well, look,
besides push up the price of Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah, the strategic reserve. We love that. It feels so good to think that the government's going to buy Bitcoin.
Well, I think, first of all, if you look at the strategic reserves that the U.S. government holds in gold, we're the #1 holder of gold in the world. And arguably, if you think of Bitcoin as a better version of gold, digital gold, why not allocate a portion of that reserve or rebalance a portion of that reserve to the better version? I think, there's just a lot more opportunity for growth and appreciation of Bitcoin than gold in the next couple of decades. So I think it's a wise decision, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, look, it sounds great, right? It sounds great, but we'll have to see. Like I said, I just don't see the government doing any of that stuff. But hey, look, it sounds really great, and it pushes the needle along. So why not, right? Why not? Okay, moving on from the gold hopium. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. There's always more hopium to go around. Okay, so next is the Fiat Shenanigans. I think this was retweeted by Need Creations. So shout out to you, bud. That's why I saw this in my timeline, because I don't actually follow Caitlin. What if a tokenized dollar could change its stripes from a tokenized bank deposit to a stable coin? Wow. Such utility, right? So many activities you can do with these stable coins. As it moves between holders, what if a bank could deliver wallets and custody directly into the core of the banking system? Bless their hearts. Targeting not just the 291 billion stablecoin market, but the far bigger $5.6 trillion deposit market, while addressing banks' biggest concern that stablecoins could disintermediate their core deposits by directly connecting them to tokenized deposits. Now, if that doesn't sound like a Rube Goldberg machine that is somehow built on the deck of the Titanic while the chairs are moving, I don't know what to tell you. But that sounds like a whole lot of gymnastics, a whole lot of BS, just to keep pretending, right, that the government isn't just sitting there essentially trying to strengthen the US dollar through stable coins. This is all just nonsense. It's feel good. It's just feel good crap. Anyways, no surprise though, right? No surprise that the Fiat Shenanigans will go on. It's no surprise that governments and the associated institutions around them are all thinking stable coins. This is what any honest Bitcoiner has been telling you this from the beginning, right? Any person who has been buying and hodling Bitcoin that has been paying attention and that has been actually not falling for the cheerleader nonsense is fully aware that this is always their goal. I've said this 1,000 times, the government cannot see beyond its own power, right? Like it's the idea, right? The idea that a government is going to be able to see beyond its own power and its own control. This is nonsense. Okay. I think that people don't really understand what happens in these institutions. Anyways, Fiat Shenanigans, not gonna work anyways. So it doesn't really matter. All right. Moving on here, guys. Let's see what we got next. Boom! Hardware wallet wars. That's right. So yesterday, if you watched the show, you saw that Jade, the new Jade application, has made it possible so that the cold card could be used with your app. And check this out, right? Yesterday, Trezor released an announcement. Now, look, not to go too far into the weeds, but the cold card is the quote unquote like the Cadillac standard for self-sovereignty as per many plebs. Of course, I am not even going to get into all the intricacies of user experience and trade-offs and all that stuff. Whatever. Okay. In terms of cold storage, in terms of minimizing attack vectors, right? I think that most of us can agree that cold card has the majority of those features, if not all of those features, just by default. Okay. So now cold card has a secure element, right? Okay. Many other signing devices / hardware wallets do not have secure elements. Now, over the years, some others have come forward and started to add secure elements. And for the ones that did not add secure elements, they've included different types of security mechanisms, right? Like such as putting the PIN or having an extra step in authentication, whatever it may be, right? Obviously to compensate, essentially, in my eyes, it's to compensate around this. Now, the hardware wallet, though, the announcement that came out yesterday is from Trezor. Okay. And shout out to CoinJoined Chris, who himself does a very beautiful, high quality seed plate design. He owns a company called Seedor. Anyways, it's really nice stuff, and he does excellent work. Okay. It's not a sales pitch for him. The new Trezor Safe 7 will come with the world's first open source, fully auditable, secure element. Okay. So I just want you guys to keep this in mind. Okay. So now there's this one by Tropic Square. Okay. This has been getting worked on for a few years. Completely open source, right? People who don't know how to examine code. Well, guess what? Even if you don't know how to look at code, you can look at this code. Okay. So all that aside, all the joking aside, right? So it's interesting because Cold Card has the secure element, but it's not open source. Now they're at the point where they have two secure elements, which are not open source. So now we have Trezor that comes out with the single secure element that is open source. So I'm going to say the next turn of the Rubik's Cube is going to be two secure elements, which are open source. All right, guys, that is your next challenge. Who is going to be the hardware wallet that has the two secure elements that are open source by Tropic Square? It's going to be a game of catch up, guys. But look, in all fairness, all of this means individuals end up getting access to quite possibly better technology and a better set of trade-offs and a better user experience. So, you know what? Let the games begin. Let the competition happen, right? Let it happen. Okay. Anyways, now let's take a look at the government loves Bitcoin. We all know the government loves Bitcoin. I mean, I love Bitcoin, so I know the government loves Bitcoin. So here we go. This is the Federal Reserve Governor. Federal Reserve Governor. He made some comments. Let's see what he had to say.
This is an acknowledgement that distributed ledgers and crypto assets are no longer on the fringes, but are increasingly woven into the fabric of the payment and financial system. Now, before we hear from these innovators, I would like to touch on roles that the Federal Reserve plays to support the private sector. These include serving as a convener to solve coordination problems and operating core payment and settlement infrastructure. We are also looking ahead conducting hands-on research on tokenization, using smart contracts, and the intersection of AI and payments for use in our own payment systems. We do this to understand the innovation happening within the payment system, as well as to evaluate whether these technologies could provide opportunities to upgrade our own payment infrastructures and to enable us to have deeper conversations with the industry on these new technologies.
Yeah, he said nothing. Said absolutely nothing. I love. Anyways, I guess it's just I'm very jaded from having worked in in corporate, you call it corporate America, but whatever, right? Giant corporations, and it's just funny because you recognize this ridiculous speak, right? You just say the buzzwords, right? AI, Web3, blockchain, right? It's all synergy, right? It's all synergy. It's all mixing together. It's all coming together. We're gonna work together. He has no idea what he's talking about. And it's great. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? It's wah, wah, wah crap. That's literally all he said was the wah, wah stuff. Yeah, exactly, right? I'm from the government, then I'm here to help. These guys, look, okay, I appreciate them saying the magic words, right? Like this is, that's the takeaway. The takeaway is they say the magic words, they make us happy, right? And more people pay attention, and hopefully, right? Hopefully some people who are genuinely trying to save and store their purchasing power into the future, they're like, you know what? That blockchain stuff seems kind of interesting, but I think it's bullshit. What about this Bitcoin thing? Right? Like that's kind of the direction that you hope, because in all fairness, if you haven't read the writing on the wall, they don't talk about Bitcoin. They just talk about stable coins. And if they do mention Bitcoin, it is only to empower their stable coins. So yeah, exactly. Z logic. Yeah, everything else really is noise. It really is. It's too bad. Okay, moving on, guys. Moving on. Let's go to the paper Bitcoin summer. I told you at the beginning, I have no idea what to call this thing anymore. But yeah, make no mistake. I think it's here to stay, and I guess we'll see which companies survive and which ones don't, right? Anyways, some news out of Germany. Germany's first Bitcoin treasury company, aifinyo. It's a pretty decent name. aifinyo kind of has a nice ring to it. AG launches billion-dollar strategy. Boom. Fintech firm becomes first German publicly traded company to convert balance sheet to Bitcoin, targeting 10,000 Bitcoin by 2027. And this is the part that wasn't being told to us in all of those wonderful in all of those wonderful tweets. MicroStrategy investor. So that this is funny, right? This, you have to pay attention to the framing, right? They have to tell you that it's a MicroStrategy investor so that you correlate that, hey, these guys have money in MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has the most Bitcoin in the world, right? In terms of a corporation. It's all framing. It's all framing designed to make you happy. MicroStrategy investor UTXO Management. Oh, that's David Bailey's vehicle. How are those NACA shareholders feeling right now, huh? How are those guys doing? They must be pretty happy with that. It's actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's even below the price that the people sold their Bitcoin to get into NACA to fund it initially. Yeah, that's pretty crappy. The down bad. Anyways, so here we go. Kruglicekau? I don't know. I destroyed that last name. I apologize. A Forbes 30 under 30 listee and former entrepreneur in residence during the build out of N26 sees aifinyo as a pioneer. Any CFO who doesn't have a position on Bitcoin today will have to explain to investors tomorrow why their returns are lagging behind international competitors. Now, of course, I have no issues with anybody deciding to store their value in Bitcoin, whether it's a corporation, whether it's an individual, doesn't matter. Bitcoin is for anyone that decides to use it. Bitcoin is also the money of enemies. That being said, these guys, any corporation who decides to hold Bitcoin, you're not going to be able to afford to hold it if you don't actually have earnings. This idea that you're going to just be able to continue to issue shares or issue debt so that you can buy more Bitcoin while investors just sit there and in awe that you keep holding more and more Bitcoin. This is not actually a business model. This is not a real business model. Okay? Why do you think, first of all, why do you think MicroStrategy keeps coming up with more and more vehicles to raise debt? To raise funds. Why do you think they keep doing this? Now, I'm not saying that MicroStrategy is disappearing from one day to the next or anything like that. Of course, they've got the most Bitcoin. They probably have the biggest moat and can probably handle the most volatility in terms of Bitcoin based on their holdings. However, okay, their operating income is pure garbage and dwindling. Okay, and that's why you probably start to notice on Twitter, you're starting to see ads from MicroStrategy trying to shill their Mosaic AI platform. Like, bro, why the hell weren't you shilling that before? Wouldn't it have been smarter to be raising the operating income while you're buying Bitcoin? Ooh. It's because it's not real. Anyways, I'm not saying that they're not stacking Bitcoin. I'm saying that their business is falling apart. Anyways, continuing on here, Paper Summer Bitcoin. Now I know why we're being told about this German company that's going to become a treasury company. Go take a look at their chart. They trade on 2 exchanges. I'm not surprised. We're being fed this crap because of UTXO management, which is David Bailey's vehicle. I wouldn't be surprised if this is another one where David Bailey has a whole bunch of shares. But yeah, it's lots of fun. Lots of fun. Okay, moving on, guys. We got more Paper Summer Bitcoin. Citi issues a buy rating on Bitcoin. Treasury company strategy with a price target of 485. Every time I see price targets like that, I can't help but think of those MSTR North bros talking about $5,000 Bitcoin, right? $5,000 MSTR. They did the math. You know who else did the math? Lehman Brothers did the math. Bear Stearns did the math. AIG did the math during the crisis, 2008 crisis, 2007, 2008 crisis. They all did the math. Actually had geniuses doing the math for them. So, and of course, right, I get it. It's not the same, right? This time it's different. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure that this time it's different. Anyways, so here we go. Thai public company RSXYZ buys an additional 21.97 Bitcoin and now holds a total of 74 Bitcoin. The Paper Summer Bitcoin. The Paper Summer Bitcoin. We love it, guys. Yeah. I don't have much to say about it, right? We're gonna see fiat. We're gonna see fiat doing the fiat things. We're seeing the shenanigans that we always see. This is no surprise, guys. That is gonna do it for today's show. Zoom out. I like to report on the news because on the noise. Sorry, I called it news. I like to report on the noise because it's fun. I enjoy it, right? This keeps me entertained. We are in a clown world, and I am going to laugh at the clowns. Okay, like this is exactly what's happening, and I'm enjoying myself. I hope you guys are too. Stay tuned for tomorrow, right? Well, I mean, don't stay on the channel waiting for tomorrow, but you know the deal. Tomorrow, 12:10 p.m. Same time, we are going to be covering all of the shenanigans. Guys, you have a great rest of the day. I'll catch you then. Peace.